Today I've been asked to do a short story on my part in the Falkland Island conflict, which took place from the 2nd of April, which was today, 38 years ago, to the 14th of June 1982. Where was I when I heard? Well, I was actually on a course in Hereford, a Portuguese language course, because I was going away to a funny place where they speak Portuguese to do a job. However, that was cancelled. Everybody on the course came off, and we were given a briefing on what was going on in the early hours, what was going on down in the Falkland Islands, and what we were supposed to do. First thing we did, we actually started to get ready and take our civilian clothes off, put our uniform back on, and we started training for the war. A lot of the stuff we did took place over at Sennybridge, for those who know it, a range area. Yes, it was cold, but not as cold as the Falkland Islands was when we finally got there. So the squadron, of which I was in B Squadron 22 SAS at the time, we had our task, 2 other squadrons had their task, and 1 squadron would be remaining in Hereford. So that was that. We knew where we stood, and we got back out as a squadron and trained in everything: shooting skills, driving, everything you could think of, doing OPs, getting everything planned and prepared and rehearsed, but it's never going to be the same as the real thing. However, you do need those skills. Up-to-date medics, signallers, demolitionists, linguists, not for the Falklands, but you'd have all of them in your patrol. So that's how it was. Already, the start for us really was the sinking of the Sheffield. When that went down, the lads were already on the ground. We weren't at the time. We were flown direct to the Ascension Islands, which is about 4,500 miles away from the UK. That is where we did the rest of our training. Yes, in the red hot heat of the Ascension Islands, to finally being thrown into the South Atlantic by parachute, freezing cold, and that would how it would remain for the rest of the trip. So the training went ahead. Ascension Islands, well, for those who play golf, it's got a golf course, and it's actually recognised as the worst golf course in the world. I know, I've been over it on motorbikes. It doesn't touch it, it's volcanic rock. It is a golf course, and it's owned by the government, or certainly was owned by the government at that time. It then became 8 troop, that was my troop, part of the squadron. There's 4 troops in the squadron. Mine was mobility, and yes, we had the bikes there, we had the vehicles there, and our job then was to prepare for what would be an assault on mainland Argentina, 1 squadron. So throughout the training, and remember we stayed there for quite a while. As I say, there was 2 squadrons actually on the ground out there doing their stuff. We were going for a specific job, which was called Operation Mikado. And part of the squadron, 8 of them, they were on a separate mission, which was called Operation Plum Duff. Yeah, and that's what it turned out to be. So their job to do a reconnaissance and try to find out as much intelligence as they could over on mainland Argentina, and they set about their task. The airfield we were interested in at Punta Gorda, Tierra del Fuego, in Argentina. That's where the Exocets were stored, missiles. There was 3 left, and that's where the Super Étendards, the aircraft that flew and fired the Exocets, and the same Exocet that brought down the Sheffield, with losing quite a number of lives on that. So we had the bit between our teeth. The Argentinas were not our friends, and that was the way I looked at it from day one. So we have a recce of 8 guys gone, never to be seen again until very late on. Our training was still going ahead on Ascension Islands until we trained ourselves out of everything. And finally, we got the word that Operation Mikado would go ahead. What I'd also like to say is that the Prime Minister we had at the time, Mrs. Margaret Thatcher, we were called her boys. And guess what? All of us. The B Squadron were the ones who did the Iranian embassy siege 2 years earlier. And of course, as a Prime Minister, I was more than glad to follow her to the Falkland Islands conflict. Yes, I had a son of 6 weeks old when I left. Of course, I didn't know if I'd see him again ever. And my walk over from my house to the camp was the longest walk I've ever made, or one of them. So thanks again.